Welcome back to our spine-chilling series exploring the haunted heart of the United States, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this second episode of Most Haunted Places in the USA, we journey deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so haunting they will leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From abandoned asylums to centuries-old battlefields, the United States is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in tragedy, betrayal, and unrelenting sorrow. America's haunted places are more than just locations. They are vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time: Civil War skirmishes, frontier feuds, unsolved murders, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across the country, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted hotels, explore eerie mansions cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of America, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Stanley Hotel, elegance entangled with the supernatural. Nestled in the picturesque town of Estes Park, Colorado, the Stanley Hotel stands as a monument to both luxury and despair, a grand Georgian Revival masterpiece whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy and supernatural activity. Opened in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, the hotel quickly became a retreat for wealthy travelers seeking respite amidst the breathtaking beauty of the Rocky Mountains. With its sweeping verandas, crystal chandeliers, and panoramic views of Long's Peak, the Stanley epitomized elegance and sophistication. Yet beneath its polished exterior lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, violence, and untimely deaths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Stanley Hotel revolves around Room 217, said to be haunted by the spirit of Elizabeth Wilson, a former housekeeper who worked at the establishment during the early 20th century. According to local lore, Elizabeth was severely injured in a gas explosion while cleaning the room, which left her bedridden for months. Despite her injuries, she returned to work, dedicating herself to maintaining the hotel's impeccable standards until her death years later. Guests staying in room 217 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of fresh linen lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets neatly tucked around them, as if someone had been tidying up after them. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be none other than Stephen King, whose novel The Shining was inspired by his stay at the Stanley. While King himself may not haunt the premises, his fictional creation has imbued the hotel with an aura of literary dread. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a malevolent entity whispering phrases like, "Get out," and "Leave me alone." Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures resembling Jack Torrance pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be an axe before vanishing without a trace. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Stanley Hotel frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slammed shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the hotel's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's outfit standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Stanley Hotel remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Elizabeth, Jack, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the hotel's tragic tale. Eastern State Penitentiary, shadows of solitude perched on the outskirts of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Eastern State Penitentiary looms as a monolithic testament to humanity's capacity for cruelty and redemption. Built in 1829, the prison was designed as a pioneering experiment in solitary confinement, aiming to reform inmates through isolation and penitence. Its imposing stone walls, Gothic architecture, and labyrinthine corridors evoke a sense of foreboding that has only deepened over the decades. Today, Eastern State stands as one of America's most haunted places, its cells echoing with the cries of those who endured unimaginable suffering within its confines. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Eastern State involves Cell Block 12, said to be haunted by the spirit of a prisoner named Leo. According to historical records, Leo was subjected to prolonged periods of solitary confinement after attempting to escape multiple times. Overwhelmed by madness, he reportedly gouged his own eyes out before taking his life in his cell. Visitors exploring the penitentiary report hearing faint moans and scratching sounds emanating from the sealed-off chamber. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled in the corners, their faces obscured by darkness, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the door. Another haunting figure associated with Eastern State is believed to be Al Capone, the infamous gangster who spent 8 months incarcerated there in 1929. Though Capone's stay was relatively brief, his larger-than-life personality left an indelible mark on the property. Witnesses recount sightings of a well-dressed man pacing anxiously near the warden's office or sitting alone in the recreation yard. His presence is often accompanied by the faint clinking of spurs and the smell of expensive cologne, as though he's preparing for one last heist. Some speculate that Capone lingers due to unfinished business, unable to part ways with the city that played such a pivotal role in his life. The penitentiary's death row, once used for executions and maximum security prisoners, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the penitentiary's operational years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into Eastern State's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the exercise yard and the infirmary. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original occupants. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Let me out." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Eastern State Penitentiary continues to draw visitors eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to explore its corridors, the opportunity to encounter Leo, Capone, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, Eastern State promises an unforgettable experience where the line between justice and injustice blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The Myrtles Plantation, whispers of slavery and sorrow deep in the heart of St. Francisville, Louisiana. Shrouded by moss-draped oaks and suffocating humidity, lies the Myrtles Plantation, a sprawling antebellum estate whose beauty belies a harrowing past steeped in slavery, brutality, and unrelenting grief. Built in 1796, the plantation thrived on the forced labor of enslaved Africans, whose blood, sweat, and tears fueled its prosperity. Today, the Myrtles Plantation stands as a grim reminder of America's darkest chapter, its haunted halls echoing with the cries of those who suffered unimaginable horrors within its walls. One of the most persistent legends tied to the plantation centers around Chloe, a slave who served as a housemaid during the early 19th century. According to local lore, Chloe was caught eavesdropping on conversations between her master and his guests, leading to her punishment, the amputation of one ear. Seeking revenge, she allegedly poisoned a cake intended for the family, inadvertently killing 2 children in the process. When discovered, Chloe was executed, her body dumped in the Mississippi River. Since then, visitors exploring the plantation report hearing faint moans and rattling chains emanating from the sealed-off chamber. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled in the corners, their faces obscured by darkness, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the door. Another haunting figure associated with the Myrtles Plantation is believed to be William Drew Winter, a lawyer who resided there during the mid-19th century. Historical records indicate that Winter was murdered outside the plantation's front door following a dispute over gambling debts. His ghost is said to wander the first-floor landing, his ethereal form clad in a tattered suit. Guests staying overnight have reported waking up to the sound of footsteps descending the stairs, followed by a deafening crash, as though someone has fallen again. Others describe seeing a pale man staring mournfully out of upstairs windows, his expression frozen in eternal anguish. The plantation's fields, once cultivated by enslaved laborers, remain a focal point of paranormal activity. Visitors walking through the overgrown acres often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out in languages unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the dialects spoken by those who toiled under the scorching sun. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in tattered clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, working tirelessly even in death. Paranormal investigators exploring the Myrtles Plantation have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the slave quarters and the main house's kitchen. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of Chloe's former quarters, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the plantation's reputation as one of America's most active haunted sites. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the Myrtles Plantation continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the atrocities committed in pursuit of wealth and power. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Myrtles Plantation offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Winchester Mystery House, a labyrinth of grief and ghosts tucked away in San Jose, California. The Winchester Mystery House stands as a surreal monument to obsession, grief, and the supernatural. Built by Sarah Winchester, the widow of firearms magnate William Wirt Winchester, this sprawling Victorian mansion is a labyrinthine maze of rooms, staircases, and secret passages constructed over 38 years. Legend has it that Sarah was driven by the belief that she was cursed by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles, compelling her to build continuously to appease them. Her relentless construction resulted in a structure so bizarre and chaotic that it defies logic, becoming one of America's most haunted landmarks. One of the most iconic features of the Winchester Mystery House is the staircase to nowhere, a steep, winding flight of steps that leads directly into a ceiling. According to legend, this architectural oddity was designed to confuse the spirits haunting the mansion, preventing them from finding their way to Sarah. Visitors exploring the house often report feeling dizzy or disoriented as they ascend the stairs, as though an unseen force is pulling them upward. Others describe hearing faint whispers emanating from the walls, urging them to keep climbing, or don't stop. Another prominent figure in the house's haunted lore is believed to be the spirit of Sarah Winchester herself. Historical accounts suggest that Sarah rarely left the mansion during her lifetime, spending her days overseeing construction and conducting seances to communicate with the dead. Witnesses recount sightings of a frail woman dressed in black gliding silently through the corridors, her translucent form illuminated by dim light. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing soft humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Sarah tidying up after guests long gone. The mansion's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the narrow passageways, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a janitor who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the mansion's early years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into the Winchester Mystery House's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the seance room and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to Sarah. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Winchester Mystery House remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its peculiar architecture and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and exploration. For those brave enough to venture inside, the promise of encountering Sarah, the spirits of rifle victims, or one of the countless other entities said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the creaking floorboards, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the mansion's macabre legacy? Patterns across America's haunted places, themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of the United States. From the opulent halls of the Stanley Hotel to the somber grounds of the Myrtles Plantation, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of sanatoriums to the shadowed basements of prisons, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. The core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through America's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of America's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all. But isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.